Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have a Mandela Effect I want to present with you guys to see what you remember, as well as some residue on previously covered Mandela Effects. But first, our book is now available, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe. It's available in paperback or ebook, so check out the link in the description below. Also, the Mandela Effect Conference, that's the 2019 West Coast Mandela Effect Conference, set for November 8th through 10th, 2019, is only a few weeks away. So be sure to check the link below for this Mandela Effect Conference, as well as other get-togethers, meetups, and conferences dealing with the Mandela Effect. Now on to our Mandela Effect here. Recently, while looking into the movie Mr. Mom from the 80s, I discovered some Mandela Effect residue, as well as a Mandela Effect change that I was not aware of until I actually was looking into this other information. So before we get started, I've got two questions for you. I want to see how you remember it. So first, in the movie Mr. Mom, the wife is played by actress Teri Garr. Are you familiar with this actress? She's played in a number of movies. If you remember how to spell her name, can you either jot it down on a piece of paper or type it into the comments below of how you remember it, and we'll see if it matches with the current history. Okay, Teri Garr. How do you think that was spelled? Do you remember that actress? Also, I presented this in a live show recently, but I want to ask you guys, do you remember the food delivery company, Schwan's? Can you please write down how you remember Schwan's being spelled? For a lot of you, I think you'll be surprised at the current spelling. And we'll come back to these spellings later in the video. But off to Mr. Mom. First, I want to bring up that the fact that this Mandela Effect itself, Vandy Camps, was covered 3 years ago by Moneybags. And he did a great job. I'm going to leave the link below if you want to watch that, because I don't want to cover a lot of stuff that's been covered before. But recently, when I was looking into Mr. Mom, I found some clips that I think you will find interesting. Check this out.
Sent Wheaties rebate.
Oh.
And I'm gonna raise you Kamp pork and beans.
Kamp pork and beans.
Clearly, Mr. Mom, played by Michael Keaton, remembers Vandy Camps. And as you guys know, it is no longer Vandy Camps, and not to be mistaken with the fish company that spells camp with a K. Vandy Camps. We're talking about the bean, chili, the canned food company, which is now known as Van Camps, was Vandy Camps for a lot of people up until a few years ago. Now, I know I'm probably stating the obvious for many people, but when you have product placement within a movie, you can pretty much guarantee that they're not going to be messing up the name. And if they do mess up the name, they're going to have to redo it because they were paid for the advertisement that the movie provided. They're going to want their name, their brand represented correctly. And as we see here, we hear Michael Keaton say,
Kamp pork and beans.
and we even see it in the subtitles, and it's with a C. So we're talking about two distinct companies. I'm guilty of it myself. I confused the two companies. I thought they were the same until one changed and one didn't. So now I know that there's a canned food company and there's a frozen fish food company. Two separate companies. Okay, let's get back to the spelling of Teri Garr, because this wasn't a 100% change for me, but when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, I thought it was spelled like this. And so I did a search of how I thought it was spelled, and I found residue, showing that other people remembered it being spelled the other way too. I was so young at the time when she was really big into the movies, though. I could be remembering wrong, but I'm sure Teri Garr had some fan amongst my crowd, so I figured ask you guys, what do you remember? How do you remember Teri Garr being spelled? Because now it appears that an R has jumped out of the first name into the second name. And I've even had people say they remembered a total of 4 R's, 2 in Teri and 2 in Garr. So what do you remember? I was driving the other day and I came across a Schwan's delivery truck, and my jaw dropped because the spelling of it was not the way I remember it. And I did check this in a live show, and I think it was about a 50-50 split on how people remember it. So how do you remember Schwan's being spelled? Was it S-C-H-W-A-N apostrophe S? Or was there 2 N's? N-N apostrophe S? Because now it appears it's always just had 1 N. Schwan's. And no matter which camp you fall into, the Van Camp or the Vandy Camp, I think we can all agree these are some pretty creepy advertisements. That's it for this installment. Lots of love, light, and unity to all of you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.